Welcome back to another episode of Ballers, Beers, and Banter. I'm your host, Dave. Here with me, all by his lonesome, it must be Han, otherwise known as Moose.
Hello! Would that be Han Solo?
Yes. Although we're not really solo, we're tag teaming it.
You can be Leia. I'm kidding. You'd obviously beat Chewbacca.
I fall in love with you?
I
would definitely beat Chewbacca. Yeah. Based on the closest to hairiness scale, I definitely beat Chewbacca. I'm not even going to attempt his voice. Anthony's on vacation, so we gave him the week off, so he'll be listening in like all you fans. So hi, Anthony, out there. We're gonna try and we'll do our best without one of our MVPs.
I'm gonna do my best Anthony impersonation, because when you say hello to him, he'd say something like, "What's up?"
But then, if you're doing your best Anthony impression, do I have to also do my best Moose impression?
Sure.
Just to keep everything okay. Sure. Put your best gut forward, Dave. He's gonna be terrible. I wouldn't take him. What round would I take him in? Never. That's you.
All right. I'm sorry. Just so it's clear for listeners, you're talking about Jalen Hurts, right?
Oh my gosh. Apparently, I had a really bad week at
that's
practice.
That's what I saw. I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to.
I think that's also a case of the Eagles. They could be bad. So yeah. We'll see how it all shakes down. Anyways, really excited for this episode. We're getting very close to draft season. Of course, we're going to bring you headlines, all the latest news, got to keep you up to date. But then our main thrust of today's episode will be reviewing the top 12 and top 24 running backs from last year in half-point PPR, and then who we think, as well as Anthony, who's mailed in via letter in the actual snail mail.
He's mailing it
to open the letter. Yeah, he mailed it in. We'll be reviewing who we think will not repeat in the top 12 or top 24, and then who we think might slide in. So it's good information for you guys. Sort of like a different, kind of like a little prep for rankings almost, but I'm going to give the why these people will finish in or out, which will help you for draft season coming up. And of course, top 12 is, typically we talk about 12-team leagues, and we deal in half-point PPR because it's that sweet middle ground between PPR, point per reception, and standard, and 12-team league standards. If you have less, if you have fewer or more, let us know. Send us a comment. Hit us up on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, 3B Fantasy Pod, or at gmail.com. And of course, this Wednesday, live, you could come on and talk to us directly and ask your questions directly on the Halftime Sports app. Download the app. It's first of all, it's a super cool app, and we'll be going live Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and that'll be weekly. So you can come on and ask us your questions in person. So listeners, make sure you have that. Looking forward to having it. It'll just be us for that one too. So we'll need people on stage talking to us because Anthony won't be there. He's in Prince Edward Island. By the way, what a weird name for a province, eh? Prince Edward Island.
Why is that weird?
I don't know. I mean, I do live in Victoria, so I guess it's pretty standard. So tiny, though. It was just shook. Wait. Yeah, we named lots of stuff.
But I don't understand why it's weird. It's just it's a guy's name.
It's Prince. Hope he's having a great time there. You could do the whole. How long would it take you to walk all of Prince Edward Island? Do you think?
I think it's bigger. I think it's bigger than you think.
I don't think so. I think it's tiny.
Well, okay. How long would it take you to walk from one end of Montreal to the other?
Well, Prince Edward Island's way smaller than Montreal.
Well, I don't think so.
Google it. We'll Google it. We'll have it up for you guys, all our Canadian listeners, by the end of the episode. I also am not at home, by the way. You might have noticed by my decor, and it's very bright lighting. A little Airbnb action. So hopefully the Wi-Fi is good, and we're coming through loud and clear. As Moose looks up PI versus. Just look in the Google Maps.
Yeah, I guess it is.
I guess it. Yeah, it's
but
very small.
Yeah, it is.
Could run it. Some of these Olympians could run it. Take them 2 seconds. Man, does it blow your mind how fast they run?
It's much bigger than Montreal.
Is it? Oh, no,
yeah, by quite a bit.
My mistake. I thought it was. I don't know why I thought it was tiny.
Prince Edward Island is 5,660 square kilometers.
Well, that sounds like a lot.
And Montreal is only 472.6.
Okay, I take it back.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know why I thought it was so tiny.
it would take you some time to walk
It would
from end
take
to
a
end.
little bit. Yeah.
The conclusion is it would take you some time.
So don't do it, Anthony. The Olympics concluded, Moose. They are, I think we just missed the closing ceremonies just before recording. We're recording, of course, Sunday, August 8th, Sunday morning, Sunday AM. And
I watched a grand total of maybe one event.
disappointed in you. But yeah, they were exciting, the Olympics. But you kind of had your own little Olympics last night, Moose. Kind of like a pork tenderloin / how many
did some
beers
real
you
good,
can consume Olympics.
Yeah, did some real good pork tenderloins last night. It was a real great time.
Yeah, I got we'll just say we'll call it a late night FaceTime call.
Show prep. It was show prep.
Yeah. And I'm on different time zones, so that was exciting. All right, in the news, Moose. Let's get into it. There's quite a bit. I'd like to start here. Michael Thomas. Reports have emerged that Michael Thomas ghosted the New Orleans Saints for 3 months this offseason. Just wouldn't answer their calls or return their phone calls. Like, what? What do you make of this headline?
It's silly. I think it's just looking for ways to make his injury and the surgery and all these things a little bit more wacky. There's no way they weren't getting in touch with him.
Well, then, so you're not believing the report?
Well, I'm sure there was a certain level of ghosting. Like obviously he held back about the surgery and things like that. But I can't imagine that someone of his level, and importance to the team just falls off the radar.
It's weird. It's not a good sign. So obviously he was trying to hide. So he was disgruntled, I guess, about the official team doctor's diagnosis or approach, and he wanted a second opinion. So maybe that factors in. Moose, have you ever ghosted someone?
No, I don't think so.
You've never ghosted someone? Like someone's trying to call you and just don't answer?
Well, if it's someone I don't know, then yeah, but I've never ghosted someone I know.
Or you just stop talking to someone? It's just
common
in the common in the online dating world, I think.
Again, as strangers, you could meet a bunch of wackos,
Yeah.
But if it's somebody I know, I'm not going to ghost them.
All right. Well, there you go.
Or
Michael
if I
Thomas.
did, I'd tell them. I'd be like, I'm ghosting you.
I do.
You're about to get ghosted.
That's not how it works.
You're about to get
You
ghosted.
can't tell someone you're ghosting. So ghosting is when you just stop all contact with someone. That's the ghosting. If you tell someone you're not going to talk to them, then that's the opposite of ghosting, I would say.
That's just who I am. I would prepare them.
Okay.
Be prepared to get ghosted.
It's not ghosting, but it's awesome. You're about to get ghosted. All right. Next up, we got to talk this. Josh Allen signs a contract extension with the Buffalo Bills.
Huge.
Monstrous. 198.2. Sorry, not 198.2. That was crazy.
Higher.
It is a 6-year, $258 million contract. I was looking at the NFL salary cap for after. So average salary of $43 million per year, signing bonus of 16.5, and get this, the most total guaranteed money of anybody. So it's a lower average value than Patrick Mahomes, which makes sense because you're not Patrick Mahomes yet, and he's won a Super Bowl. But more guaranteed money, $150 million guaranteed.
Yep.
Wow. Now, the real question, Moose, is moving forward, can teams, like once you start paying quarterbacks this exorbitant amount of money, like more and more quarterbacks going to fall in this category.
Mm-hmm.
I earlier made the mistake. I was reading the NFL salary cap because I want to know if the salary cap's 198, your quarterback has 43. Let's say 40. Let's keep it simple. Let's say it's about 200 mil, 40 million wrapped up. That's 25% of your salary cap, if my math serves me correctly, wrapped up in one player. Can you win like that? Are you going to be able to field a competitive team moving forward?
I would think so for the near future, just based on the amount of skill that's coming out of these rookies.
That's true.
I think, in past years, there was a certain amount of development and, it took time. But a lot of these rookies are coming in NFL ready. So, you don't have to pay them a super amount of money and you can get 5 years out of them.
You know what? You're right, especially at positions that normally cost a lot of money. For example, wide receiver.
Yeah.
Which usually took quite a few years to develop. But now we got like Justin Jeffersons and DK Metcalfs and T. Higgins and Chase Claypool and whatever. They're playing pretty well
CD
right
Lamb,
off the bat.
Just to
CD Lamb.
just to
Oh
add
my
one
gosh,
to the
CD
list.
Lamb. Yeah. Just to add one of my dynasty guys to the list. You're right. So but I think that's the key, is to get a core. If you want to win the Super Bowl, get a core young group and try to win early.
And I mean, it's like I always say, it takes two people to pass and catch. So I think that's it. You have to, if you have somebody who can throw with incredible accuracy and plays the game really well, you pay them a ton of money, because that's the first step. And then you sort of figure it out from there. So I think, the Chiefs had it right. They obviously recognize that, Patrick Mahomes is going to be amazing unless there's some kind of, freak injury or something like that stops him from playing. He's only going to get better. And I think the improvement that Josh Allen made is something that the Bills recognized and said, wow, look where this guy was year one. Look where he is year two. If he keeps up this kind of momentum, I don't know if he could ever be Patrick Mahomes, but he's looking good. And obviously you surround him with other talent and he's going to use it and have a successful team. So I think that's it's a smart move.
I like it. Go Bills.
Plus keep them happy. So you don't have an Aaron Rodgers type situation.
Oh my gosh.
Like if you listen to how Josh Allen talks about Buffalo, it's incredible. But when I've been to Buffalo, there's not much going on in Buffalo as far as I can see.
Shout out to our Buffalo fans.
Shout out to Buffalo.
Well, I haven't been to the
much.
stadium. Well, you're not downtown. The stadium's outside of Buffalo, right?
Yeah, but we stay downtown. That's where the hotels are. So we've been around there, and so maybe there's some exciting stuff, but I don't know if it's the most exciting city for everyday living. But he loves Buffalo, and so I think this is Buffalo's way of saying, we want you to stay here and be happy.
Well,
in our
obviously,
city.
It's 150 million guarantee that you're going to stay there.
So I think Buffalo looked at similar situations with talented quarterbacks and just said, no, we don't want any of this drama. Let's just keep this guy happy.
Absolutely. Moving on, Saquon Barkley. We've talked a lot on this podcast. Anthony's been hi Anthony. He's been bringing up quite often that he thinks Saquon is the riskiest of the round one running backs, and he moved him down. And now it's come out, it's official. We were always worried about week 1 and 2, and now it seems like week 3 is the timeline for him. If he comes back earlier, great, bonus. But they're kind of planning for him to be a week 3 start. So he's going to miss 2 out of 17 of the games scheduled for the season that we know of. Does that that's
what they're shooting for?
That's what they're shooting for.
I know you're saying it's an official report that they're estimating for week 3.
You think he might come back even later? You think he could come back even later?
He could. I mean, there's no that's the thing. So it's an official report, but there's no definitive. Yes, he'll be ready week 3. It's now we're shooting for week 3. So I mean, that's for me. That's still tempering expectations.
So we can talk about Saquon, or we'll probably talk about it a little bit later. Just got a report. Rookie tight end Hunter Long been carted off the field. Not good.
Not so good.
So we now know Saquon Barkley. We can expect him to miss 2 games. He'll probably drop a little bit in the draft. I know what your answer is going to be, Moose, but where would you be willing to draft him?
Like how far would he have to drop? How high would I draft him?
Yeah, what's the highest you would draft him?
I don't know. I guess if you get stuck at like 6.
At 106?
Yeah. I think you have to draft him. You can't not draft him. Which
because of his upside.
Because of his upside.
I know it's a tough spot to be in.
It's a tough spot to be in. So the thing is, there's other, like we talk about marquee of the mid-round guys. And in my opinion, Saquon, like obviously he'll never make it to the mid-rounds. But if he did, he has that characteristic where it's like, well, I'm going to take him and he could have tremendous upside. But unfortunately, his value has him in the first round. So you take him, you stash him until he's healthy, and then it's going to be fantastic. So that's what's kind of tricky about it, is that he's like a injury sleeper because you're just waiting for him to get healthy.
Yeah, and I think for all you going into your draft, if you're in the anywhere from the 105 spot to the end, if you're drafting 5th to 12th, you're going to need to come up with a Saquon plan because he could fall to you anywhere in that range. Honestly, he could fall to you.
Yeah.
So you got to know that, okay, if Saquon falls to me, am I pulling the trigger or not, or do I have a backup plan? Or certain names of running backs that you would prefer to have. So like maybe you want a safer Nick Chubb, and that's fine. Maybe you want an Austin Eckler, and go for it if that's your strategy. But if you want to risk it or have just a little bit higher risk for that reward, then Saquon could be available to you in the back half of the first round.
Yeah, I think Saquon might actually be a highlighted pick for anyone who's interested in doing a 0 RB strategy. Aside from the fact that you would take Saquon in the first round and then just do your 0 RB strategy.
Interesting. So we've talked about that pseudo. So for those who don't know, 0 RB strategy is not taking a running back with your first several picks. So filling up your wide receiver starting positions, even QB, tight end before you go running back. Not super recommended. We've seen potentially could work at the turn this year when you're at the 12th spot. So, and then there's the pseudo 0 running back strategy where you take one stud first running back and then a bunch of wide receivers, get your top QB, whatever, top tight end, and then come back to running back. You think that works better with a risky pick like Saquon or with a safe pick? Like
well, I
Derrick
just think
Henry?
Because I mean, if you're not going 0 RB, obviously you have your eyes set on some running backs
Later.
Yeah. Or even if you're going to take, running backs in the first 3 rounds or whatever, Saquon kind of burns you a little bit because you may not be able to use him. So I just think if you're already interested in having running backs from later down the draft, that's it. So if you take Saquon with huge upside, you continue your strategy because that's what you're comfortable with, and you're still going to get those late round running backs that, obviously if that's your strategy, you think are going to help you win with the upside of then having, a top guy later in the season.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, we'll take a look at who finished top 24 last year, and there's some names on there. You're going to be like, really? You listeners are going to be like, yep, because everybody gets injured at running back. We had tons of RB1s go down, and that's what happens. So you want to stack up on running backs where you can. Okay. Smaller news. Let's rattle these off, Moose, and give me your comments. Xavien Howard back at practice has officially signed an extension or a new contract?
That's what I saw this morning. Yeah.
Awesome. So Xavien Howard's back. That's really good news for Miami.
Fantastic
defense.
for Miami defense. Who were great last season.
Oh, yeah. And Brian Flores from the Patriots. I think if you're targeting defenses, Miami will be definitely one of those you should target. They're going to be going early. Zach Moss, the most consistent running back at practice and training camp so far for the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Kind of no surprise there, I would say. He's competing with Devin Singletary, who to me, Zach Moss looked a little bit better than last year, and the rookie Antonio Williams, or sophomore.
Dave, a couple months ago didn't believe that.
What are you talking about?
We had a whole thing because you were saying that Devin Singletary was the starting running back, and I said that's 100% Zach Moss.
No, you're confusing Anthony. Sorry, hi Anthony. Every time I bring his name up, because Anthony was really high on Zach Moss last year, and he disappointed him. He picked him as he'll finish top 24. Really disappointed him. So now he's off that train.
Okay,
but I'm still on it because I didn't put any beer bets on money on it. I think he's the best running back in Buffalo besides Josh Allen. But if they do need to alleviate some pressure on Josh, $258 million man, then you got to run the ball a little bit. And I think that's going to be Zach Moss.
Yeah. The other name to also that's been shining at the Bills camp that everyone forgets. Sean. Apparently Matt Breida is tearing up the field.
Matt Breida's there.
Everybody forgets that fast. Matt Breida's in Buffalo. And apparently he's looked really good at camp. So another name to
but Moose, you really promoting Matt Breida? You're always, whenever his name came up, I remember picking up him in Dynasty one time, and you were like, you laughed. So, like, are we really?
I mean, he did not. Well, I mean, he had a bit of success in San Francisco, but he was buried. Then he went to Miami, and they seemingly didn't use him. It also came out that like Jordan Howard showed up in Miami, and they were like, "Nah, you don't fit the scheme." and that's
What, this year?
yeah, no, last season when he was.
Oh, okay.
Remember? He said he like showed
Yeah.
up and they're like, nah, like you don't fit the scheme. We're not interested in developing you into our team. And so then that's why he went back to Philly. So maybe the same thing
Right,
with
he's in Philly.
with Matt Breida. But like I said, reports out of camp are saying that he's looking. He is super fast, and they're saying that
He's so fast.
he's looking that way at Bills camp. So for sure, I think you should make note of it. Watch, see how camp plays out, and he could be a super late round or waiver wire steal, depending on how things go.
Yeah, I'd say waiver wire, but yeah, something to keep an eye on for sure. Justin Jefferson moves for all you dynasty owners who have Justin Jefferson or people looking to draft him this year. There was a scare at camp because he went down, hurt his shoulder, left the field. Looks like it's just a sprained AC joint. I'm not a doctor, although I play one on TV, and from what I understand, that's not so bad. You know, that's one of the 8 injuries Christian McCaffrey had last year, and that was the one they were like, he can come back, and then like, oh, his knees hurt. Oh, his back's hurt. So, sprained AC joint, he'll be okay. James Washington, sticking with receivers, Pittsburgh wide receiver, probably 4th on the depth chart in Pittsburgh, and a very deep wide receiver room. Request a trade. What do we think of this, Moose?
I think it's exciting. It's it's not breaking epic news, but he is a very talented wide receiver. And if he goes to another team, I think he becomes very fantasy relevant, especially if he goes to a team that needs a second wide receiver or, just some more talent out there.
Or third, yeah.
Yeah, so 2 of the names Dave and I sort of just came up with this morning was, for example, Patriots or Green Bay, something like that, where they need wide receiver room. Because, I guess his complaint was that he doesn't get enough playing time. And it's not going to change in Pittsburgh. I mean, with Claypool, Juju and Deontay Johnson out there.
And then throw in, they got Eric Ebron.
Najee Harris now.
And they drafted Pat Freiermuth. Yeah. A lot of offensive weapons in Pittsburgh. And James Washington's very capable. He's a good wide receiver. So dynasty owners also put that name on your list. Can maybe pick him up before he gets traded or after he gets traded. If you have him, his value will go up. I'd like to see him go somewhere like Green Bay would be great, but unless you've already played with Aaron Rodgers, you're not going there. The Arizona Cardinals have signed running back Ito Smith. Is this a depth move, or are you worried about James Conner / Chase Edmonds, Moose?
I think it's a depth move. In no way has Ito Smith shown that he could surpass
Sean or Shown?
Shown.
He's shown. Okay, Sean.
He hasn't shown that.
He hasn't shown that he's Sean.
I want to show you something. He hasn't showed us that he can be. He's not going to surpass Chase Edmonds. I'm blanking here, or James Conner.
Edmonds and James Conner.
Yeah. So I think it's a depth piece because reports a couple weeks ago were that James Conner's still dealing with the rehab from his toe surgery, and I still don't think Chase Edmonds can carry the load as a bell cow back. So I'm sure. They're just
not your standard, not your true bell cow back. He's a bit smaller, right? He's a bit of quicker slasher kind of back, but so they definitely need help. And I don't know. I think James Conner's worth it with where he's being drafted, like 7th round or whatever. Snag him. Yeah. But yeah, watch out for that. Darren Waller missed 4 days in a row of practice. Apparently, we're going to find out from John Gruden soon what it's all about. Does that concern you, Moose? I know he's had a storied background. If you watched Hard Knocks a few years ago, he's overcome a lot in his career, including a drug addiction. Are we concerned at all about this?
I mean, yeah, you should be, because, well, for real football, he's super entertaining to watch. He's very talented. For fantasy football, he's one of the top 3 tight ends. So
he's the man.
It's a real game changer, for everybody in the league, because now that kind of drops the tight end advantage by one person. If there's something wrong, like let's all pump the brakes here. It could be nothing. Maybe he's sick or something like that. So yeah, it's a little bit, I hope everything's okay with him.
So yeah, keep your eye on that. We'll have reports soon on Darren Waller. Curtis Samuel out of Washington, who's one of our marquee to the mid round. Moose, hit me.
I couldn't find the headline, but apparently he's
no hit me with the marquee.
Oh, Marquis.
Beautiful. Still got it, even after a late night. Yeah, Curtis Samuel has been injured at camp, so just something to keep your eye on, right?
No. He was injured before camp. He hasn't even been to camp yet.
Right.
He had a groin injury. He has not healed from it. And I think the latest report is now he's on the COVID-19 list.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah, which everyone in Washington is, seems like it. Much to the chagrin of Ron Rivera, coach, of course.
So super underwhelming news because, everybody was looking forward to Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin ripping it up out there.
Well, we'll see. I mean, a lot of people miss training camp in today's day and age. So
yeah, but he's injured. It's not. It's not like I'm a veteran missing training camp.
Not holding out.
Yeah.
All right. Dak Prescott has been cleared for light throwing. So shoulder on the mend, but something I'm watching because I think about, and actually I'd like to dig. For our listeners, I'll do a little more digging on this, but looking specifically at quarterbacks who've suffered a serious injury, like a season-ending injury, and how they bounce back. We look a lot about running backs and wide receivers, how they're bouncing back from that. But like I think about, obviously it's not to the degree of Alex Smith's injury. It took him forever to come back. But I think about Derek Carr, the year he was having an MVP-like season and broke his leg, came back, was never quite the same. Carson Wentz with his big injury. I mean, he's been injured every year, but his leg injury, he was having an MVP season, came back, wasn't the same, hasn't been the same. And now Dak's in that boat. Dak was having exactly the same thing. He was on pace for an MVP season.
You only said negative injuries.
Yeah, so what are the positive examples for quarterbacks?
Tom Brady blew out his knee and then won like 5 more Super Bowls.
Great example. He's never been a mobile quarterback, though. He's just a drop back, stop, look around, throw. So it's not part of his game. Moving around is a bit more part of Dak's game. He relies on a little bit more. I mean, we've seen those hip winders. Pop, pop. If you haven't seen Dak's warm up, you got to go check it out where he does those hip twists. So yeah, I'm sure there are other examples though. So I'll go digging for some QB examples, but it's slightly concerning. And now the shoulder, it's like you didn't get a proper off season of training, right? You're just rehabbing, so everything's a little bit off. So,
well, my understanding was he was launching 70-yard bombs for special teams to run back when he hurt his shoulder. So
what a stupid idea.
That's the thing. When I heard it, and then Jerry Jones is like, "So we're not going to have him do that anymore." It's like, why are we having him do that in the first place? This is ridiculous. Yeah. So, so apparently that's what the situation was. I guess he also has to practice launching the ball, but I mean, I would think that you do it like 2 or 3 times, and then you dial it back.
Yeah,
to prevent injury.
Like we're not professional athletes anywhere near it, but we toss football. We toss football outside every now and then. And when you're tossing in your range, it's easy, right? Your shoulder's getting loosed up. But that first, even just one throw where you're like at max out as far as you can. For us, it's like 40 yards. For Dak, it's 80. But you're like, ooh, and we're not professional athletes, but you're like, ooh, yeah, the shoulder's a little hurt. They're professional throwers, a little different, but still, it's the same principle. Like, goodness gracious, don't max out. All right. Last headline for you, Moose. You're going to love it. Bryan Edwards is ahead of John Brown at practice.
Love it.
Practice? We're talking about practice. Bryan Edwards, of course, if you don't know his name, is a Las Vegas Raider. And the Autumn Wind is also a Raider. But Bryan Edwards, of course, injured last year. So this will be his first real year. And he was a deep sleeper of yours, Moose. And you picked him up in Dynasty. And I did a little article on him last year, actually. And he's that big-bodied receiver who could turn into... we're comparing, like, he's kind of like a DK Metcalf style a little bit. And he's been compared to who, Moose?
Terrell Owens and Randy Moss.
2 very good names.
Pretty big names.
They're on the GOAT list. So keep your eye on Bryan Edwards. He'd be a great late round pickup. All right. Ready to go, Moose?
Yeah, I think so. That was a lot.
Okay.
That was a lot of headlines.
Crazy amount of headlines.
I liked it.
Yeah. And my Airbnb is carpeted in here. My nose is just flooded with the dust particles and whatever. I'm allergic to dust, so I'm doing my best over. If you hear sniffles, I apologize, and it's not COVID related. Okay. All right. So our main topic of discussion is we're going to go through at the running back position to start last year's top 12, and then RB1, and then the 13 to 24 RB2, And then who from that list, get out of here? Who isn't going to be in that list in this upcoming season? Give them the boot. And then who we think is going to fill in those spots. Okay, you ready to go, Moose?
I have never been more ready.
Well, that's bold statement from you because you're always pretty ready. Okay, so top 12 half point PPR. We're drumming this list up from now. This could be slightly different. The order they come in. We're going to use fantasydata.com. Great stat site. It looks like they, depending on your scoring of fumbles versus fumbles lost, could be slightly different. So it's actually slightly different than Sleeper, which is our platform, but roughly the same. All right, number one on the year last year, of course, he helped Moose win a third fantasy football championship. Alvin Kamara. And then we had Derrick Henry at number 2, Dalvin Cook at number 3.
Wait a minute. Alvin Kamara's out of there. I'm kidding.
Well, we're just listing the top 12.
Okay.
Number 4 was David Montgomery last year. Number 5, Aaron Jones. Number 6, Jonathan Taylor. Those could be switched depending on your platform. Number 7, James Robinson. Number 8, Josh Jacobs. Number 9, Nick Chubb. Number 10, Kareem Hunt. Number 11, Ezekiel Elliott. Number 12, Antonio Gibson. Whenever I say Ezekiel, I heard you ever see that? I mean, you're not a big Instagram guy, Moose, but there's a clip of there's this I think it's from TikTok. There's a they reuse audio and you can put different video in it, and there's an audio where like, hey, what's your name? And then a person goes, Ezekiel. Hey, Ezekiel. And then it's like, F you. And then the other person goes, what's your name? Anyways, it's pretty funny. And there's one where it's like dogs doing it. Anyways, whenever Ezekiel comes up, I've heard that's what triggers them. So that's our top 12 from the list. RB last year. Sorry for that tangent. Now, do we want to give Anthony's, or do we want to? Well, you know what? Every time we agree with Anthony, we'll bring it up. Hi, Anthony. So who from that list of top 12 will not be in the top 12 next year? They could move down to top 24 in your opinion,
right?
But who won't be a repeat RB1 from that list? Kamara, Henry, Cook, Monty, Jones, Taylor, Robinson, Jacobs, Chubb, Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott, and Gibson.
Right away, James Robinson jumps out.
And Anthony agrees. Why does his name jump out?
Well, with the emergence of rookie Travis Etienne, who is quote unquote uncoverable at camp, you have to assume that there's going to be a timeshare. I don't honestly believe that he's going to lose a lot of time, but he's in a situation where he could. So it would not be fair for me to not bring up the other side of the coin as well. So
yeah,
I still think that the way James Robinson plays, he still has a ton of value on that football team. Since Travis Etienne is, he's more of a pass catching back, and James Robinson is a big body, he's going to get goal line work. But I don't think he's going to have the same type of season.
I think people within the fantasy expert community were already, before Travis Etienne was drafted, we're already thinking in their, you do your first rankings, like right after the Super Bowl, you're like, all right, here are my rankings for next year. People were already dropping James Robinson into RB2 category. And then with Travis Etienne and the other weapon, they brought in a ton of receivers, right? It's going to be a completely different offense. So I think James Robinson is a safe bet to not repeat in the top 12. I would agree with that. The first name that jumps out to me, Moose, besides James Robinson is...
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Is it Josh Jacobs?
No, we'll get to Josh Jacobs, but it's Kareem Hunt. I was a big Kareem Hunt truther last year, if you want to call it that. I drafted him everywhere I could for his value because you were getting him in round 5 or 6, something like that last year. He's still good value this year, but I don't know if he's going to be... I mean, he finished 10th last year. There was a period of time where Nick Chubb was injured and out. Kareem Hunt didn't really dominate while Nick Chubb was out. He actually did his best when Nick Chubb was there, but still, that's something to factor in. And to me, Kareem Hunt he's just not going to get quite the volume that you traditionally need to be top 12. He's very efficient. He was very efficient last year, I should say. And touchdowns really made his games. If you had him as an owner, you were like nail biting until, he scores a pass catching touchdown or a receiving touchdown or whatever and seals your 15-point week for you. He had 5 receiving touchdowns and 6 rushing touchdowns. And he got a lot of red zone opportunity. I see that decreasing next year. He's still a great pick, but I don't see him repeating in the top 12. And guess what? Anthony agrees. Thanks, Anthony. Moose, any other names that jump out on you?
Well, only Josh Jacobs, but not really. I think he could still be in the top 10.
He could definitely has the talent to do it. The concern for me is, as we've said many times on this podcast, so we know we have plenty of loyal listeners who would be like, okay, we've heard the broken record, but if you're listening for the first time, John Gruden is a madman. He's a mad scientist. I think the Raiders are going in the wrong direction.
What?
He got rid of. They're going in the wrong direction. He got rid of. They steadily increased. They beat Kansas City, which is like his big goal, but I don't think they're going to be better than last year. They got rid of their whole O-line. The offensive line's kind of important in football and for running backs. They got rid of their whole O-line, and then they brought in Kenyon Drake and paid him quite a bit. So there's some concerns there for Josh Jacobs. The other name that Anthony brought up is David Montgomery, who finished 4th overall. I think he's definitely a candidate to finish outside the top 12. He's not being drafted there, and so the general public agrees. He's being drafted more as an RB2. We'll see. Maybe if Tariq Cohen's out and he still gets that receiving work in the receiving game, he'll be good. But really, his season was made last year, and it was a top 4. He was 4th on the year, which is great. But it was made with that added work in the receiving game, as well as playing terrible rush defenses. He played the worst rush defenses for the back half of the year, like the Houston Texans, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers. So he really made his money against those bad defenses. So we'll see. I think his numbers are inflated a bit. So he's one that could finish outside. All right, but everyone else is safe. Kamara, Henry, Cook, Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Zeke, and Gibson. We all think they're safer. Could repeat as RB1. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the names of people to watch out for: Dave Montgomery, James Robinson, Josh Jacobs, and Kramer.
I'm 50-50 on Josh Jacobs.
You're 50-50. Okay.
No, we're 50-50 because you guys think he'll be out. I think he'll be in the top 10. I'm not worried about Kenyon Drake, to be honest.
What about the O-line?
Also not worried about the O-line. I don't have the names and stuff in front of me, but they put in good players at their O-line. They did get rid of their old O-line, but they also rebuilt a strong O-line.
So Kenyon Drake doesn't alarm you. What about what they signed him for, though? So I know talent-wise.
Yeah.
I'm going to drum it up. I know. Talk to me about talent-wise why he doesn't concern.
The reason, because I think he's there to give Josh Jacobs a break. I think they're going to run Josh Jacobs.
But if Josh Jacobs has a break, he can't score points for you, right?
Yeah, right. But it'll be like he'll run a bunch of plays and then take a couple plays off. But I don't think that's going to put that much of a dent into his production. I think Kenyon Drake is literally there so that when Josh Jacobs, is a little bit tired, they can put him in and still have, a good running back instead of just depth pieces that, it's like a lost play.
They signed Kenyon Drake, the Raiders did, for 2 years, $11 million. So that's $5.5 a year. That's pretty expensive as a, give Jacobs a water break kind of player.
What did Denver sign Mike Boone for? It was something similar.
No way. Was it 2 years, $11 million? I'll drum it up.
2 years.
And the guaranteed is his whole contract. Kenyon Drake signed a fully guaranteed contract. He's getting paid $11 million no matter how much he plays.
Mike Boone signed 2 years, $3,850,000.
Yeah, total.
Yeah,
that's 3 times less. So no, it's not in the Mike Boone category. It's fairly expensive for a backup running back. So that's what has everyone concerned.
I don't know.
I feel a sneeze coming. Excuse-moi. All right. So those are players that could finish outside of the top 12, okay, who were in it last year. Now, who do we see that could move in to the top 12? Who are names that did not finish in the top 12 last year, or perhaps rookies from this year that could finish in the top 12? I got two obvious names to start. Would be the aforementioned Saquon Barkley, and Christian McCaffrey. 2 players who were injured last season who absolutely have the talent to finish the top 12. We know that.
Yeah. I think
first on your list.
Yes, well, I think that was understood, but yes, top of my list.
Okay, and I got to go. If we're going rookies, Moose, I got to go with.
We're only talking rookies now.
No, anybody.
Okay.
But one rookie name that everyone's pretty hyped about that definitely will have the volume, opportunity, and talent to finish the top 12 is Najee Harris, or Najee, as Troy Aikman was calling him.
Najee
Harris. Yeah, Anthony agrees, certainly. Moose, you picked him up in Dynasty. You got to be pretty excited about that.
I am.
Do you think he has the top 12 potential in his first year?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
don't sound too excited about it.
Well, he has the potential, but I there's no way I've seen him play enough at the NFL level to flat out say, yes, he's going to be in the top 12. Does he have the skill, the talent, the team, the touches, the opportunity? Yeah, 100%. So,
and I guess
he could.
what the veterans of fantasy football are thinking about, the short-term memory is it's tough to get rid of. So they're thinking about the exact same conversations we had about Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. Talent, opportunity, team, and then he kind of disappointed because he finished 21st overall. We'll get to his name later.
Well,
but still pretty good.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'm happy you brought that name up, because one thing I want to remind people of is that there was no training camp last season. These guys barely had time to play with their teams. They went out there, just started playing. There was no chemistry or anything like that. So I think you really have to sort of evaluate the rookies from last year almost as if they were rookies, as if this is their first real season, and last season was sort of a training camp for them. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire for me is someone who I think is undervalued. I think he has the potential to be much higher.
Moose, as a 3-time champion, you always have your ear to the ground. Nose to the ground? I always mess that up.
You have your nose to the grindstone. And
nose to the grindstone, ear to the
ground.
Ear to the ground. So I got it right. So what should we be looking for, or what should fantasy players be looking for out of training camp or in preseason to solidify their opinion of someone like a Najee Harris, to be like, okay, yeah, he's got the top 12 upside?
Oh, I mean, you definitely want to see how he performs in the preseason games. To be honest, I wasn't, at first glance, I wasn't super blown away, but Mike Tomlin said no.
From the Hall of Fame game?
Yeah, from the Hall of Fame game. Mike Tomlin, reported and said, nope, he did everything we asked him to do. The things we wanted him to do, he did them correctly, and we're thrilled. So that is positive feedback, especially when you hear it from the coach. Always be a little bit weary though, because coaches and teams are always going to speak positive about their newly acquired
called coach speak.
Yeah, coach speak. They're always going to be positive about their newly acquired rookies. But check a few sources and use your own eyes. Like you can watch footage. You go on YouTube. There's tons of resources to watch, and look at past successful running backs, and then compare it to these rookies. See how they run. See how they go through holes. And you
sounds like a Pink Floyd song. See how they run. See how they fly.
That would be the Beatles.
No, a Beatles song. Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, and you can make an evaluation of that. The other thing too is, of course, being on a high-powered offense. So you can almost guarantee that every drive, Clyde Edwards-Helaire will have an opportunity at goal line work. Every time Kansas City gets the ball, there's a chance that he's going to run it in for a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, he was terrible at actually running in for a touchdown last year, but something he could definitely improve on.
Yeah.
All right,
so that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Moose, I'm going to throw out some names of players, and you say yay or nay on whether they could finish in the top 12. Okay.
All right.
Rookie running back from Denver Broncos, Javonte Williams.
Nay.
Okay.
I don't like this. I don't like this only yay or nay option because Melvin Gordon is such a. It all depends. If Melvin Gordon's out of the picture, I think it's a yay. But because Melvin Gordon's there, it's a nay.
We need someone else besides Najee, because we removed 4 names from our top 12 of last year and added Saquon and CMC. So we got to have somebody besides Najee. So,
so
Anthony
I'm going
thinks.
With nay.
Okay, Anthony thinks Javonte Williams has a shot at top 24 for sure. Don't know about top 12, but definitely top 24.
Well, for a shot, are we talking about a shot? Or are we talking about guaranteed?
No, I mean, what is a guarantee? That's the business we're in, is trying to guarantee the unguaranteeable, right? So, okay, let's try.
I know, but you have to, because everybody has a shot.
Okay, so then who will be in the top?
So
12?
I'm saying nay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon, who was a topic of last
top
podcast.
12 or top 24?
Top 12.
Nay.
Okay. I got to go nay.
Yeah.
Nay. Okay, well, there's an obvious one that's not on the list because of injury. We forgot about Austin Eckler. So what about his name?
Oh man. I don't know. He's so talented, but I don't know. Sometimes he's one of those players that I always have him on my don't draft this guy list. And I don't know why. He's very talented. And I think my concern is I just don't view him as that bell cow back that they want to use him for. And I don't know, he just always concerns me. And honestly, there is no real valid reason for it. It's literally me putting my best gut forward.
His
and
draft
that's what
capital,
my gut tells me.
I mean, his draft capital is part of it. He's now being paid like a first round draft pick, but
yeah.
And then he was behind Melvin Gordon. He only got his opportunity when Melvin Gordon went out. So there's reasons there. He could get injured, as he has. I say yay to Austin Eckler. I think he's definitely one of the ones that could finish.
Yeah,
will finish top 12.
I think I have to say yay as well, just because of his talent.
All right, great.
But it's a concerned yay.
A concerned yay. All right. Yay. Well, then now we get into the real
like that.
I gotcha. Now we get into the real fun category here. Okay, this is the RB2 because some of the names on the list are going to surprise you just based off last year.
Yeah, this is where it gets wild because
it gets wild. Okay, so RB2 is people who finished 13 to 24 because we're doing 12-team leagues. So last year, half point PPR it was according to FantasyData.com. At 13, Melvin Gordon, Roman numeral 3. At number 14, Kenyon Drake. At number 15, Mike Davis. At number 16, Ronald Jones, Roman numeral 2. At number 17, Chris Carson. Number 18, DeAndre Swift. At number 19, David Johnson. Number 20, Naheem Hines. Number 21, J.K. Dobbins. Number 22, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Number 23, Miles Sanders. Number 24, J.D. McKissick. And just for fun, I'll throw in 25 was Todd Gurley. Roman numeral 2, someone that we all agree, considering he doesn't have a team yet, won't finish in the top 24.
Yeah.
All right, so there's some wild names on that list, Moose, from last year, and just goes to show you all the injuries that occurred. That anybody at the running back position, if you're starting 1 week for an NFL team, you have opportunity there to have some fantasy relevance. So
you do.
Who from this? Let's start with this. Who from this list do you think will repeat as a top 24 back? I mean, it's pretty wild.
Okay, so repeats Mike Davis. I think so.
Given his opportunity in Atlanta.
Yeah. I would say, J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yes. Those two are on my list for sure to repeat. How do you feel about DeAndre Swift? It's kind of surprising he was 18 last year.
Yeah.
Right? He was ahead of Dobbins and Helaire, and he had a disappointing season.
Yeah, I would say Swift. Melvin Gordon, I'm going to say yes, but again, it's cautious. Yeah, it just depends. It's going to be, I think, just if they give Javonte Williams the ball, they're going to be like, yeah, well, maybe we'll just keep giving him the ball. So I think Melvin Gordon could do it. He probably will, but it'll be close. I think it'll be close.
So names on my list that pop out to me that should not, if they are repeating the top 24, then we've had another boatload of injuries. J.D. McKissick at number 24. He's easy pickings. He just
these are people
dominated.
Not to repeat.
Not repeat in the top 24. He dominated in the passing game last year. And you fantasy players and listeners out there, you'll go check his stats and be like, and see him ranked 24, and you'll be like, whoa, for PPR, this guy's great. Look, he had like 100 targets and a million catches. That was when Alex Smith, as Moose calls the check down king, was at the helm, and he was getting tons of work. I would expect that volume to come down greatly, especially with Curtis Samuel there, Terry McLaurin taking a jump, Logan Thomas, Antonio Gibson. J.D. McKissick is out of my top 24.
Yeah.
Naheem Hines is another one who started the year kind of like almost the lead back. He was being used kind of everywhere before Jonathan Taylor found his game. With Jonathan Taylor there.
And Marlon Mack.
And Marlon Mack back from his Achilles injury. And we're not sure who's quarterbacking. Again, that was another Phillip Rivers check down situation. A lot of third down and shorts where they're passing to Hines. I don't see that repeating. Other names on the list, and Anthony agrees with those two, by the way. He also agrees that Kenyon Drake is a name that will not repeat in the top 24.
So this is where I got to stop you guys.
Oh, okay.
Well, on one hand, Kenyon Drake is going to take so much work away from Josh Jacobs, but you don't think he's going to be in the top 24?
Well, top 24 as a whole. If he is in the top 24, then Josh Jacobs will not be in the top 12. I can tell you that. But
so
I mean,
but then what side of this coin are you guys on? Are you Josh Jacobs or are you Kenyon Drake?
Okay. Josh Jacobs will finish ahead of Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, I think it's important to point out that we've seen offenses where two running backs can be top 12 type guys, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and Nick Chubb was injured last year. And then we've seen, running backfields where you can have top guys that nobody finishes in the top 24, right? Like technically the LA Rams last year, right? The San Francisco 49ers. Like, there's plenty of examples there. So I couldn't see a reality where Josh Jacobs finishes as like running back number, 16, 17 on the year or 20, and Kenyon Drake's like 29, 30, in that RB3 category. I mean, okay. Kenyon Drake had 955 yards last year, 10 rushing touchdowns. 10, that's going to come down for sure, right? So I think he'll take opportunity away, touches away from Jacobs. What he does with them, Kenyon Drake, is up to him, but he's going to take touches away from Josh Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great, Moose. It's a good point that you bring up. Anyone else on the list, Moose? Who's not going to finish?
Who's not going to finish? Well,
Top
since
24.
You special mentioned Todd Gurley, might as well special mention that he's probably not going to make it either.
Yeah.
No, I agreed with David Johnson.
David Johnson's a name that sticks out to me. Like, if he plays all 17 games, he should be. He will be an RB2 if he plays all 17 games, but he just won't. He just won't do it. Like, if we're being honest, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, Mark Ingram, Phillip Lindsay. Who else did they acquire? Who knows what's going to happen with that backfield?
Yeah, it's crazy backfield. Yeah. Crazy backfield.
Plus a handful of rookies as well that are there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you look at David Johnson's. He hasn't played. He's played. I got 2 full seasons in his career. No, 3. But he did have that season-ending injury, obviously, in 2017. Hasn't really been the same since. So he's always kind of banged up.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because David Johnson was incredible.
He was and is, and good on him.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, how do you feel about these names, Miss? Ronald Jones, Roman numeral 2.
I don't feel good
about about him repeating in the top 24.
Yeah, and it's nothing to do with Ronald Jones. It's the team. I think they're going to be a pass-heavy team. You got Antonio Brown back now, who's free of any kind of legal issues or what have you. So you can only imagine they're going to use him more. Chris Godwin's still there. Mike Evans still there. Gronk. I mean, it's going to be a pass-heavy team.
Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny.
That's it. That's just the receivers. Now you got to, the running back room is just as.
Oh, and of course Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah, the running back room is just as wide. So, is Ronald Jones super talented? Yeah. Did he have some epic plays last season? For sure, but I just don't see him being. And I could be wrong. They might use him because he's young and healthy, but I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say.
So Ronald, to me, this is what Ronald Jones, Roman numeral 2, strikes me as. He's one of those players that we are like at when his ADP comes up, when his name pops up on the top of your list on the draft board, you're going to be like, oh no, I don't want to. But he'll probably still finish the year at like RB 23 and sneak into the top 24. And at the end of year, we'll be like, yeah, obviously he's in the top 24. That makes sense, playing for Tampa Bay. But we won't have really noticed that type of season from him. So,
yeah.
So our Rojo is also a name Anthony agrees with. He's out. And David Johnson was one on the list for sure. Chris Carson, Moose. Chris Carson, Miles Sanders. To wrap it up, I want to hear from those two.
For me, it's the same thing as Ronald Jones. Like, just very talented. I always steer clear of Chris Carson because of his injury history, and I always regret it. I always go, oh man, really wish I took Chris Carson, and then I go, oh yeah, but now he's broke his leg again or something, So I think Chris Carson is a great pick, but it comes at such a heavy. You have to really plan around Chris Carson. Make sure you have depth at the running back position.
But will they finish in the top 24?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
me too.
There's no reason. I mean, Chris Carson is an absolute tank every season. So
and Seattle is so good, and Miles Sanders has the opportunity. he's pretty bad last year and injured and finished 23rd. So I see him finishing there. So Melvin Gordon.
I don't. To be honest, I think.
Oh, you don't for Miles Sanders.
I think
Chris Carson. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Miles Sanders is in a bit of a decline. I think there is going to be a timeshare in Philly. So we talk about Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. I think it's going to be worse for Miles Sanders and apparently Boston Scott, who's showing him up in practice.
Okay.
Not to mention Jordan Howard is also there.
And Kenneth Gainwell, who's apparently not having a great camp.
And I saw a headline that Kerryon Johnson is apparently doing better than Jordan Howard. So there's a whole bunch of running backs there that are all kind of, I don't know. Who knows what will happen.
Philly in general. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to throw out some names. You tell me they will or will not be moving into the top 24, the RB2 category.
Okay.
Jamal Williams.
Oh, that's a good one. It's a shaky yay.
Yeah, shaky yay for me too. Anthony says yes. Well, he could. I think Anthony gave us this list based on could.
Yeah, it's a bit of the Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams situation. It
similar.
It really just depends what the workload is. Jamal Williams is super talented, so if he gets a workload, he's going to get yards. But it just really depends how they use DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams.
We'll go quicker through these next ones. Chase Edmonds.
I'll go yay.
It's a yay for me, and it's a yay for Anthony. And you're gonna love. Okay, I'll save that one for last. Myles Gaskin.
I say it's a definite yay.
Yeah, definite yay for me as well. And last one, Damian Harris, stud running back for the New England Patriots.
I'm gonna go with a nay.
I'm going yay. Anthony's going yay. We don't know how he feels about Gaskin, but that's a yay.
I'm obviously like Sonny Michel has a different skill set than Damian Harris, but like where is he on this list? Like he's not even close.
Sonny Michel?
Yeah.
Why? Sonny Michel was not their starting back last year for New England.
Who was their starting back?
Damian Harris. He took over during the year. Sonny Michel was also injured for most of the year last year.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. So Damian Harris was 50th last year. So if he was their starting running back, what's going to change?
Yeah. Well, he only played 10 games. He didn't start the year.
So he only became the starting running back because of injury.
But now he's the clear starting running back. Who cares how he got it?
Right.
He's the clear starting running back for New England, right?
I don't know. I don't see it. I'm nay. Big time nay.
Big time nay. I see him.
Nay with a capital N.
I think he'll be in there. So he's a yay. Okay, so that wraps it up. So for RB2 category, we had Melvin Gordon, room number 3 out. Kenyon Drake.
Should we beer bet Damian Harris?
I'm okay for right now. Thanks though. We had David Johnson out. We had Ronald Jones, room number 2 likely out. Kenyon Drake, where do we fall on him? Out or in? I had him out. Me and Anthony had him out. You're not.
I don't remember what I said.
Okay. Well, you were saying your point was how can you on the one hand have drop Josh Jacobs down, but have also drop Kenyon Drake down, right?
I honestly
that's what's going to do it.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a great tandem. But how it works,
kind of a Hunt Chubb situation. Okay.
Yeah.
Naheem Hines out. J.D. McKissic out. Great. And for you, Miles Sanders out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right, Moose. Well, the last segment in our Anthony Ellis show today, usually brought up by him, but I'll take care of both categories. It's time for They Said It on Reddit. Boom.
Goodness. There was so much power behind that.
You're welcome. From user XX Snakeboy 1XX. Love those. Am I missing something about Myles Gaskin? Currently, fantasypros.com, never heard of them, has his ADP at number 52 with the 4th easiest schedule. His backup is Malcolm Brown, who I don't see taking more than 8 touches a game and is only slightly bigger, so I don't imagine he's going to be vulturing any touchdowns. We call him tutties, just so you know, Snake Boy. There are injury concerns as he missed, Myles Gaskin, 6 games last season, but his first game back from injury he had 33 points. In the passing game, he looks excellent. Tua is a very safe quarterback who will be checking down often. Is there any reason he's not in the group of Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Damian Harris. He put Damian Harris in that category. So what is he missing about Myles Gaskin? And Snake Boy, I think you're exactly right to bring up Myles Gaskin's name, and why isn't he considered? You know why? Because he's not as exciting as J.K. Dobbins and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he plays for Miami, the Miami Dolphins, who haven't been a historically great team for fantasy or otherwise. And listen, Myles Gaskin was drafted in round 7, 234th overall to Miami in 2019. He didn't really do much in his 2019 season. 2020 last year, what did he finish, Moose? 29th overall 27. On our list, 27th overall to fantasy data. But he, they had tons of different running backs there. He kind of emerged at one point as he's our go-to guy. He did the best amongst those running backs. And yeah, there's Malcolm Brown there. But I really see Myles Gaskin on a team that will need to run the ball because there's still question marks surrounding Tua. And how he can manage an offense, run an offense. They'll need a run game. They have a great defense. They're coming from that Brian Flores New England background. They're going to run the ball a lot. And I think Myles Gaskin easily on volume alone, who cares if he's drafted in the 7th round, volume alone, opportunity alone on a decent team, he's going to do great.
Yeah, I agree. I like Myles Gaskin. I will bring up like some negative aspects to it. The wide receiver room is already injured. There are question marks around Tua, so he could be facing stacked boxes throughout the season. But honestly, where you're getting Myles Gaskin, I think there's way more upside than downside. I think he's a great pick. The Malcolm Brown concern is very real because Malcolm Brown's role for the Rams was literally take it from inside the 5 yards, score a touchdown, which sucked because, if you had Todd Gurley or Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, whatever, you always lost out on those touchdowns. So will that be how they use him? Possibly. And that would suck.
And unfortunately, NFL teams don't care about our fantasy teams with the coaches, which is like kind of selfish, I think, a little bit, but so they're really only concerned. They'll be fine with Myles Gaskin, getting 45, 50, 60 yards on a drive, and then having Malcolm Brown score the touchdown in the red zone. So
it was hilarious. I was watching the NFL Network, I guess yesterday, maybe the day before, and Maurice Jones-Drew was talking to one of the other announcers, and I don't remember what they were talking about, but the other announcer goes, "Oh man, this news is really going to hamper my fantasy football team." And Maurice Jones-Drew just looks at him and goes, "Yeah, man, no one cares about your fantasy football team." And then just keeps talking.
It was Maurice Jones-Drew, who was a great fantasy running back in his time.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny.
And I'm looking at the Gaskin numbers here. Like, he did miss quite a few games, and his point per game basis is solid, man. And it started the year 8, 11, 12, 7, 17, 14, 10 before going down. And then his, he had a 12, a 31, and a 15.
And I think Myles Gaskin really falls into the sort of argument I brought up earlier about the COVID season, especially since I'm not even sure if he was ahead of Matt Breida or Jordan Howard going into the season. So he may have been, very underprepared for the workload he was getting. So now that he's, had a training camp, he knows how it all works. I think we could see a boost in his in his season.
Going into his 3rd year. He was 14.2 points per game, Myles Gaskin, good enough for 13th last year among running backs. So, and that includes Antonio Williams is on the list because he played one game and got 20 points. So I would say he's even 12th on the list for points per game. So yeah, I think you're right. Snake Boy, hit us up if you want to talk more, or come on the live show Halftime Sports on Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, to talk more about that. But I love Myles Gaskin there. Moose, words of wisdom as we sign off.
As previously mentioned, always put your best gut forward. Trust your gut.
How's your gut feeling this morning, Moose?
It's feeling good.
After all the beers and pork and late night activities.
Yeah. Dave, I'm telling you, when you come to visit, I'm going to make you the pork, and that sassy pork attitude is going to change. You're going to want late night pork too.
What sassy attitude? I'm just saying, you had yourself a little bit of a Olympics last night.
It was pork medallions. right?
I'm looking forward to it. By this time next Sunday, we'll be having pork live together.
That's it.
Right.
So yeah, always trust your gut. My gut is always in good shape when it comes to fantasy football. So if your gut is letting you down and you need some help directing your gut in the right direction, reach out to us. Or like Dave said, Halftime app.
We'll see you live on Wednesday night, Halftime Sports app. As always, thanks for listening. See you next time.
Ciao.
Ciao.